Hi everyone, I'm Hayley. It's nice to see you all again. I'm sorry that I am alone today. Spots is a little bit tired from all his singing and reading from Friday, so he sends his apologies and hopefully he'll see you in the next video. But happy Easter to you all. I'm here today to go through the story of Easter with you with my special Easter eggs, and I'm going to open up each one and there'll be an object inside, and hopefully you at home will be able to guess why that object has got to do with Easter. And as I go through each of the eggs, you'll be able to go through the story of Easter with me. So how about we do it? So in my first egg, I have, some mini palm branches. Now, why is there palm branches in this first egg? The week before Easter, Jesus entered Jerusalem on a donkey. Do you remember that story from last week? All the people were thrilled. They thought that Jesus was the king who had come to save them. So our first egg, we have some palm branches. Our second egg, now there's something inside here that sounds noisy. Oh, can you see what this is? Some coins. Now, why is there silver coins inside this egg? So not everyone was happy to see Jesus. Some people didn't like that Jesus was claiming to be God's promised king, and they wanted to kill him because he said that. But they needed some help. They convinced one of Jesus's friends to betray Jesus in exchange for money, 30 silver coins. Now, in my third egg here, in this little pink one, I have something that symbolizes the last meal that Jesus had with his disciples. What do you think I might have inside that would represent that? Do you want to have a guess? What did you guess? I have a little cup that's representing wine and a little piece of bread. Now, the Last Supper that Jesus had with his disciples, he had a special dinner with them, with his closest friends and followers, and he told them all something that was very hard for them to understand at the time. He said that the wine and the bread that they were sharing was like his blood and his body, and that when we share that today, like we do at church in communion, that we needed to remember that he gave up his body and his blood for us. Okay, our fourth egg here. Now, this is something I had to make, but I have here some praying hands. Do you want to make some praying hands at home? How do you hold your hands if you pray? You might pray like this, with your hands like this. You might have them in your lap. Now, the praying hands represents that after supper, Jesus went with his disciples to the Garden of Gethsemane. Jesus knew that what was about to happen was going to hurt. He asked his Father in heaven that if there was any other way, could he make that happen instead? But Jesus trusted God, his Father, who knew that it was the best way, and so Jesus obeyed him. Our fifth egg here, we have a piece of rope. Now, I wonder why there's some rope. If you guessed because Jesus was arrested, then you would be right. Now, after Jesus had finished praying, some soldiers and some people came along and arrested Jesus. Jesus didn't fight them when they came, and he went with them willingly because Jesus knew it had to happen. Now, our sixth egg, we have something that hurts. What do you think it might be? A little crown of thorns. Now, the people who took and arrested Jesus treated him very badly, punishing him and hurting him. Because they knew that Jesus had claimed to be God's promised king, they took a branch of thorns and twisted them into a crown and pushed them down on Jesus' head. During all this time, Jesus didn't say anything at all and allowed it to happen, even though he hadn't done anything wrong. My next egg here represents the cross, and there's 3 metal things here inside that would represent that. Can you guess what that might be? Could you guess some nails? I have 3 metal nails here. Now, the soldiers made Jesus carry his cross partway up the hill. And when they made it up the top of the hill, the soldiers nailed Jesus to the cross, and he hung there until he died. Jesus was taking the punishment that they would normally give to really bad criminals. But Jesus had done nothing wrong. Jesus had never sinned. But he was taking the punishment for all the wrong things that we do against God, because Jesus wanted us to be friends with God again. Even though being on the cross hurt Jesus so badly, he was willing to be there because he loves us. This next egg represents Jesus' burial. I wonder what's inside. Can you guess? A cloth. I wonder why there's a cloth inside. Do you know? If you guessed that's what they used to bury people in, then you were right. After Jesus' death, a man named Joseph of Arimathea asked if he could take Jesus' body and put it in a tomb. They washed Jesus, wrapped him in a cloth, and then put him in a stone tomb. It's a cloth. We're almost there. This next egg, there's something heavy inside. I wonder what it is, do you know? It's a big round rock. Do you know what this represents? If you guessed the stone that covered the tomb, then you'd be right. So this rock, this stone, represents the big stone that once covered the tomb of Jesus, but on the third day after his death, on Easter Sunday, it had been rolled away by an angel from God. It's pretty amazing, right? And lastly, this egg. I wonder what's inside. Nothing. It's empty. Why do you think there's an empty egg? Do you think maybe it symbolizes an empty tomb? This last egg is empty because the tomb of Jesus was empty, because Jesus was now alive and no longer dead. After Jesus had risen from the dead, he stayed around on earth for 40 more days, and hundreds of people saw him walking around, eating and drinking with them. He even showed people the holes in his hands where the nails of the cross had been. And then his disciples saw him go back up to heaven to be with his Father. And that is why we celebrate Easter, is because not only did Jesus come down to earth to save us from our sins, but then he defeated death, and he has given us life, and he's still alive and with his Father. So that is why we trust Jesus. That is why he is God's promised King, and that is why we trust and follow him and give him our lives too, because he has promised us life. So that's why we're celebrating Easter, and hopefully these little symbols have helped you to show that today. So, hope you have a happy Easter, everyone. Bye.